Hi everybody. Today I want to talk a little bit about thesis statements and introductions for your narrative essay. So I have a quick presentation, just take a couple minutes. I'll go through it with you, and then if you have any questions about your own thesis statement or your introduction for your narrative essay, you can always send me an email. So here we go. Let me go ahead and pull up the slideshow. So thesis statements and introductions for this narrative essay. You're going to be working on the narrative essay later today, so hopefully you will find this helpful. Let's start off with a little bit about thesis statements. Just a couple basic things. Some of these things you might already know, some of it might be new. But first, thesis statement, what exactly is it? It states the main claim or point of an essay. So it's your main idea. Right there at the beginning, it comes at the end of the introduction paragraph. So for an essay that's a couple pages long, end of the introduction paragraph is where we expect to see it. The thesis statement is usually 1 to 2 sentences in length, no more than that. So you want it pretty short so readers can look at it and instantly know what your main claim or point will be. And you want to make it as specific as possible. Even though it's short, you want it to be as specific as you can make it in those 1 to 2 sentences. You want to make sure that you avoid what I love to call blah phrases, like in this paper, or my main argument will be that. You just don't need those phrases, so get rid of them, just get right to your point from the start of your sentence. Now let's talk a little bit about thesis statements for this particular essay, the narrative essay. Think about what your main point in this paper should be. What are you trying to share with your reader? Well, you're trying to share who the most significant person in your life has been, or at least one of the most significant people, and what kind of impact they have had on you. So that means your thesis should identify the person you're writing about and offer a short but specific summary of how they have influenced you. So let's look at a couple examples of thesis statements. Example number 1. If you said in your draft, one person in particular has had the greatest influence on my life, I would say, who is that one person? So the problem with this example is it doesn't clearly state what your main point is. I don't know who the person is that you're writing about. I don't know what kind of influence they've had on you. Here's a slightly better version of that thesis statement. My brother has had the greatest influence on me. Okay, now I know who the person is that you're writing about, but still I'm wondering what exactly is that influence that your brother has had on you. So here's a pretty good revision of that thesis statement. By showing me how to be kind and optimistic when faced with adversity, my brother has shaped me into someone who can overcome any challenge. That's the kind of specificity you want to get in your thesis statement. Now let's talk a little bit about the introduction. Here's some basics of introduction paragraphs. An introduction needs to do, generally, 3 things. First, grab the reader's attention. You don't want your reader to look like this adorable sleeping dog by the time they get to your first body paragraph. So you want to get their attention right from the start so they're engaged with what you have to say. Your introduction also needs to give some context or background of the topic that you're writing about. And then finally, of course, the introduction leads into the thesis statement. And of course, the thesis statement comes at the very end, last 1 to 2 sentences of the introduction. Now, let's talk about some ways that you can begin the introduction of this particular essay, the narrative essay. Think about for a second, what can you do in the first couple sentences of this essay to engage your readers, to grab their attention? I have a few ideas. You can start in the middle of dialogue, jump right into the middle of a conversation, and your readers will want to keep on reading to figure out what in the world is going on. Or you could start by describing the person that you're writing about, by describing their appearance in detail. Maybe you could jump right into a short anecdote about that person, a short story or a memorable event that happened with that person. That's another great way to get your reader's attention. Maybe you could ask the reader some questions relevant to the paper topic to get them thinking of some of the issues, the things that you're going to bring up later on in your essay. Or maybe you could share a personal experience that you've recently had that reminds you of the person that you're writing about. So maybe start by talking about yourself in order to show right from the beginning how this person has had an impact on you. So now it's your turn. Later today, when you are writing or finishing the draft of your narrative essay, think about these things that we just talked about when writing your introduction and thesis statement. So if you have any more questions, please make sure that you email me. I'm happy to take a look at your thesis statement. Of course, when I review the rough draft of your narrative essay, I will take a look at your thesis statement and your introduction. You'll also get some feedback from peers when you read each other's essays in the workshop. So hopefully this was helpful for you, and I'll be in touch. All right, thanks everybody. Have a nice day.